This is Walter, back with another review for you. This time for the Donner Starrykey-37. And this is it's a nifty little unit. It's got a nice little dual purpose characteristic to it, which is nice. First off, you get 37 keys, 16 drum pads, 8 knobs, 4 faders, modulation wheel, and pitch bend. Plus you got controls over here that let you scroll through pages and do your knob bank and fader bank selections. So you can actually have a preset 1, preset 2. And then you also have octave buttons up and down here, because the neat thing about this unit, you've got built-in arpeggiator over here and sequencer as well, which makes it nice. But that's for the internal sounds that you can use on this unit. And as a matter of fact, let me just flip the switch on, because it's got a button right over here that says patch. And you can see it's now lit up. So now it's got its sound engine turned on. But then you can turn it back off just by hitting the button once. And now it's off. So in the on position, onboard sounds, and all the sounds on here, there's 128 sounds on here, but this Starrykey-37 is built, the sound engine in here is not sample playback like you would have with say a unit that gives you real authentic sounding pianos and strings and drums and horns and all that. Everything in this unit, as far as the sounds are concerned, are synth-based sounds. So basically it sounds like a synthesizer that you would get from Casio or Yamaha from about 25-30 years ago. It's made on purpose to be a synthesizer for those who like to tweak synthetic sounds, and you just you have lots of fun with doing synthetic type sounds to your music. But this is a synthesizer and MIDI controller in one, simply by flipping the switch. So let's turn on the synth portion, and right now we got a sound in it. So we've got our LED window over here. It's kind of hard to see. If I shadow it, you can see it's got the sounds in here. And when I hit a key, it brings up the keys on the keyboard. If I spin a knob, I'll spin one down here. See how it goes? And you can see the red progression, so that you can go from 0 to 128 or 127. It goes 0 to 127 progressive steps with the knobs, and the knobs are continuous spin knobs, non-detented. And the same thing with the faders. If I get a little shadow there, you can see the faders over there, and they have little channels that you can see, so you can see what the faders are doing, and then it pops right back out. If you hit a pad, you can see that it's got a display that pops up instantaneously, so that you can see the pads, which pad you're hitting. Pad banks 1 through 8 on the top, and 9 through 16 on the bottom. And the pitch bend and the mod wheel also show up on the screen as a readout. So the screen is real handy. It's hard to see it real clear, but even though you're not getting a direct shot of the window, you can still see there's a lot of stuff in here. It's in preset 1, scaled off, chord off, pad bank, arpeggiator is off, note repeat is off, keys channel 2, and pad bank channel is channel 10. So the window on here is very handy. Comes in handy, and lets you work with a lot of things off the front panel real well. But if you want to program these knobs, the sliders, or the pads, there's software that you can download for that. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit because there's a little trick to it. But the arpeggiator has a layout here on the key bed. As you can see, there's numbers and writing on here from end to end for all 37 keys. And that gives you your time signatures and order and latch and gate and all that kind of stuff, tap tempo and everything, so that you can use the built-in arpeggiator and sequencer. And it's really neat. But now let's just go ahead and take a listen to a couple more of these sounds. Unit has 128 sounds in it all total. And if I hold down this key right here, it actually brings up the pad banks, which are kind of hard to see. But the first 4 knobs on here indicate which bank you're in. Bank 1 or bank A, 32 sounds in each bank, A, B, C, and D banks. And when you hold down the patch key over here, it lets you see the patches. And you can spin any of these dials, and it'll jump right to that patch. So right now, I'm in pad bank A. That was the harp. Let's go piano. I think I actually saved over the piano. So I'll go back in, and we'll spin it. And we'll go up to this is EG voice number 3. Hold down the pad bank button again, spin it up. Let's go into it says Stoned DX. So that's going to be a Yamaha DX type of sound. And if you're used to keyboards, some of these sounds in here are going to sound like sounds that you heard years ago. Like I say, these are synthetic tones that you would have heard in a Yamaha or a Casio keyboard 25, 30 years ago. But all these sounds, even though that has a wood sound to it, a little bit of a tiny kind of a thump, everything is synthetic. That is a OFSQ1 or sequence 1. Let's go on up. Here's a Celeste. What is that? A toy piano. So you might be thinking, boy, those are some cheesy sounds, but remember, these sounds are synthetic. And that's the whole purpose. For people who like synthetic sounds, this is a great little unit so that you can just twiddle the knobs. Wood gone. Want to take that up an octave? Hit the octave button. If you hit both of them at the same time, it zeroes it back out. And when you hit the octave button, let's see how I'll hit the octave button again. You can kind of see those dots on there. To the left, octave down. To the right, octave up. So right now we're down an octave. That's as low as it'll go. Hit them both together simultaneously, takes you right back to the middle. That's goofy. I lost the sound. Let's turn it off and turn it back on. There we go. Every now and then I notice it will do a little glitch of some sort. So that's something to bear in mind. But let's hit the patch button. Let's spin that dial again. This is a guru. Distorting on my unit at all, because some of the sounds seem to hang for a long time. See, like this is one of those, has a really long tail on it as far as the fade out. It's fading out, but it doesn't. But if you get a note that gets stuck, just hit the button. It's like a kill switch, and you can go back in. But let's spin it up a little bit more. We're doing a couple more sounds. Let's put some modulation wheel on that. There's your pitch bend. Not much modulation there on that one. But there's 32 sounds in each bank. This says electric guitar. There's your modulation. These wheels, as a matter of fact, they got a nice feel. Smooth, fat, easy to work with. Kind of nice. Let's go into let's switch to pad bank 2. All I gotta do is come over to knob number 2, and it goes to pad bank B. So let's go pad bank B. Let's take it down to the first sound in pad bank B, which is brass. I remember hearing sounds like that back in the 70s and 80s. Let's drop that down an octave. Got a little modulation on it too. But let's bring it back to 0. So you can see we are definitely brass number 2. A little grittier. A little less rounded off. Let's see. That's they get a flute. Let's take that octave up. So you can see you got a lot of sounds in here, and like I say, you can spin your dial and you can get to them real easy, which is nice. The keys on here, the key bed's not bad. Not super stiff. I'd say it's just a pinch soft. But it's not so soft that it's mushy. So keybed's not bad, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I've done a few of these videos with the little mini keys on them before. I don't know. It seems like your fingers are the keys are just a tiny bit smaller than what you would get even for mini keys, but still useful. Still useful anyway. But let's see what's in pad bank C. Violin, cello. Wow. They built in the modulation with that one. Vibrato. That would be vibrato. But this is what you're looking at with these sounds. Here's a synth box. It's got vibrato on it too. So you got a lot of cool sounds in here. If you like synthetic stuff, this may be the unit for you because, like I say, synth lead. The pitch bend right out of the box. The pitch bend, usually on with pitch bend you set it for maybe 2 semitones up, 2 semitones down. which is about the same as moving 2 keys up, 2 keys down. The pitch bend on this bad boy is set for, you can go the full sweep. You're sweeping octaves, but you can go in and adjust that for a little bit more narrow of a bend, because it makes it more useful. Right now, this will be considered a coarse setting, and you might want a little bit more of a finer setting. But let's see, what other sounds do we got? Let's go to bank C. All right, let's try this wind flute. Take it up an octave. Let's take it down. Wow. That's a soft sound. It's a soft sound because I haven't changed the volume. I noticed that some of the sounds are a little softer, but I've noticed that in synthesizers. Anyway, I think it just has to do with the amount of interaction that's going on there with the oscillators. This is the bank D. And like I say, there's 32 sounds in each bank for a total of 128. That says bassoon. That would explain it. Let's see. Here's a flat bass. Not bad. Not bad. The basses in here are not too bad. The synth bass sound, so let's see, that's 29. Let's back it up. That says bass clars. As you can see, let's go up a couple. Okay, I got a sound here. I got an electric piano. Let's activate the parameters button real quick, which is right next to the patch button, and you can see it's on now. When I hold down the parameters button, it lets me change using the first 5 knobs. I can change the algorithm, feedback, switch from mono to polyphonic, the volume level, and latch on and off. And you hold down that button, and I'm going to go, right now, that electric piano is on 5, on number 1. So I'm going to change the algorithm. Let's take it on down to 1. You see how radical that did. It added a lot of noisy type distortion. Let's go to number 2. Parameter number 2. Still the same. Let's see. How big of a difference are we going to get? Yep, it's dialing down that fuzzy sound a little bit at a time. So let's go and spin it again. Go 4. That was 5 where it was, which is clean. So let's go 6, 7. So you see, so you can see the parameters can be changed just by holding down that parameters button and switching the algorithms a little bit. So you can kind of tweak the sounds a little bit on here. And these buttons can be set up to do different things, just like the sliders over here, using the editing software, so that you might be able to actually get even a little bit more action out of them, or if nothing else, volume, tremolo, reverb, and things like that, that you can tweak. to hopefully get some more action off of. I'll turn the parameters off. I won't go into the arpeggiator and the sequencer. It's in the manual. The features that you can get as far as working with the sequencer and the arpeggiator. What I'm going to do now is let's switch off, and we're going to use the editor in this unit. Now, I'll turn this patch bank button off, because what we're going to do is we're going to set up these pads to work as a drum kit, and I'll set up all 16 pads, and we'll do a few of them on screen, and then I'll finish the setup, and then we'll activate my Mixcraft Pro 9 DAW software, and we can see how these pads feel and work. So let me switch over and grab the editor here and bring that up on screen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I got the Donner software open, and as you can see, it basically looks just like the keyboard. It's a nice little graphic. Everything works real cool. Whatever you click on is what you control. So if I click on this pad here, I get that. Click on that, or I can click on a fader. Everything comes up in this box right here, so you can edit. This is the global box over here. And this box over here, if I tap a pad, I'm tapping pad number 9, it shows the note on and note off right there. And I can clear it whenever I need to. But this little editor works great. It's the Starrykey-37 Play editor. Now please be aware of this fact, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll try to put in my write-up as well. When you go to the Donner website, the software that's on the site is for the control panel. And I forget what version number it is, but it's for the control panel. It is not correct. As of today is March 18, 2026, it is not correct. They actually have the control panel that's listed on there that you can download. Works with some of the other units, and you'll see that when you install the software. But this Donner Starrykey-37 will not be in that list. It's not programmed for that, the software. What you got to do, I found out by looking around on the Amazon site. I noticed that another company called MVAVE, M-V-A-V-E, some people call it M-Wave, but I think it's actually MVAVE. If you go to their website and you download, because they have this same unit. They just have over here where it says Donner, on the MVAVE, it actually says the MVAVE, and I think it's MK37 Pro. But it's the same exact hardware synthesizer keyboard controller. It's the exact same model. But what it is, some of the manufacturers out of China, they will manufacture, if you buy enough units, I think it's usually a lot of times they'll tell you, if you buy 100 units, or if it's something smaller and cheaper, maybe 300, 400, 500 units, they will put your brand name on that product. And this is one of those products. Donner actually doesn't, to the best of my knowledge, they don't manufacture it. They're buying it from a Chinese manufacturer. And that's why you see MVAV. And I've also seen it under a different name, this exact same unit, as the Starrykey-37 Play. But MVAV has the MK37 Play. And if you go to their website, to their download page, and you download the editor for their unit, this is actually what you get. This is software from the MVAV website. I got a feeling the manufacturer put the software that was made, that they custom made for Donner, and they downloaded the software to the MVAV site as well without changing the name, even though it's the exact same piece of hardware. But the MVAV works with the Starrykey-37 Play because they're both the same exact unit. And the Donner control software does not work with the Starrykey-37 Play. So you have to go to the MVAV, and when you download that, it says Starrykey-37 Play up on the top of the software, and it says it right here, Donner. So this is the correct one. So it's a little bit of a oopsie there, and I need to contact Donner and send them an email, and hopefully they will get the software because it's got their name on it, and they sell the same unit, so they can get their software that actually works for their unit. So I'm going to try to make sure I send them an email about it. But all right, let's go ahead and look at this. Now, what I did is I preset these drum pads up ahead of time. So pad 9 has a kick drum, and if I bring up General Midi drum map here, so that I can set my drum sounds up the way I want to. And that's what I did ahead of time. And so number 9 is kick drum, snare, side stick, and the hand claps and so on. Tom-toms here. I got my open hi-hat here, close hi-hat here, and I set everything up ahead of time. Now, here's the thing about it. You can set, because if I click on one of these pads, it shows pad 10, pad 11, pad 8. I can click on these faders. There's fader number 1, fader number 4, 2, and 3. They show up. If I click on the pitch bend, there's the pitch bend wheel. There's the modulation wheel. The parameters show up in this box here that you can change. Even the arrow keys on there. There's the left arrow key. It can be set for channels and note types and stuff. There's a right. And then the octave keys you can't set. But whatever you can set this mouse on, you can actually bring it up in the display. Because like this one, what it's doing right there, knob bank, number 1 through 8. Hit it again, knob bank 16. So you can actually go through, set 1 through 8 up to do something, and 1 through 16. And then on your keyboard's layout, there's a knob bank and a fader bank. So, like right here, it says 5, 6, 7, 8. Hit the fader bank button again. It goes back to 1, 2, 3, and 4. And down here, if I hit the knobs, I go fader bank number 1. Knob bank number 1. I come down here, here's fader 1 through 4, and knobs 1 through 8. Hit the knob bank, switches to 9, shows 9 down there through 16. So, and then it corresponds with the keyboard setup, which is really neat, because I can just use these 2 buttons here on the keyboard itself, which will let me switch and toggle between setup 1 through 8 for the knobs, and then 9 through 16 for the knobs, and 1 through 4 for the faders, and 5 through 8 for the faders. So you got bank setups that you can do as well. But I'm going to go back to the pads. I already got these set up the way I want, set for channel 10, and then I got global settings over here, which I can set my pad curve. I got it set by default for 2, but you get 4 settings on here. But you have curve, velocity curve setups for the pads, velocity curve setups for the keyboard, and then you have your pitch bend steps over here. But over here, this is the part you want to watch. Now right now I got it, it's set for preset 1, which is just fine. You get 8 all total that you can save in the software. But you can do something interesting here. I can import here, reset here, to reset all the control settings. And then I have patch over here, so I can save all my patches here, or reset it, and then it'll reset everything. But check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Right here it says save. You would think that if you clicked on save, it would save the file, so that you can retrieve it later, just in case you get a bunch of different setups for different projects. But it doesn't. What it does is you click save, it says save successfully, but what it did was it sent the information to the keyboard, so that it's locked in. If you click export, that's when you get a file export over here, and I actually got a couple saved here. There's a Donner saved there from my Starrykey, then I got a setup number 2 saved. And so it actually, that part's a little goofy, it's backwards, it's in reverse. Export actually exports the file to your computer to save it, whereas save exports the setup to the keyboard. So just remember that little thing there. All right, now we got this set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off here, and we'll go back to the keyboard, and we'll test to make sure I got these set up. As a matter of fact, since I did these before, I did a note number switch by accident. This number 1 should actually be the closed hi-hat, and I set it for number 2. So let me switch that. Okay, so that's 42 there, 46 there. So I'll just 42 here, and then 46 over here. There. And then now I'm going to send that to the keyboard. And then we'll have made that correction there for the rest of our video. And so now I'm going to close this and we'll switch back to the keyboard. All right, we're back at the keyboard. Let's make sure I got these pads set up. Yep. The hi-hat, because before I had this sound over here, and I like it like that better. Yep, ride cymbal, bell, crash, tambourine, cowbell, and I think that's a cabeza, but everything works. That's giving me a velocity of 42. I think it's missing a couple notes there. That might be something that if you got something you're gonna be doing, like especially with seems like it was missing a couple notes there. But you know what? What you might want to do is set this up where you got a kick drum here, depending on what kind of style of music you play. Kick drum here, and go with 2 snares on 2 pads. I don't know, seems to be a little off on the timing there. I'm no musician, but I think you should get a little bit better hit. I might be able to go in and check the sensitivity on that, because there's 4 sensitivity settings, and I might just need to go with a softer setting to take advantage of greater sensitivity. But the option's there to do that in the editing software. Relatively speaking, folks, not a bad unit. Not a bad unit. It would kind of get you into the synthetic world as far as sounds with synthesizer sounds, if you want that, because some people really love that synthetic sound, because some synthetic sounds can really be cool, and they can do things that you can't get necessarily from an analog instrument. So if you want to get into some synthesizer type sounds, get that more classic old synth sound that you would get from a Casio or a Yamaha from about 25-30 years ago, this is great for that. And then as a controller, it works great too, because with that software, that Starrykey-37 software from the Involve website, by the way, because they don't have it on the on Donner site, and I'll try to give them an email heads up about that. But this thing works really, it works pretty good for the money. Okay, folks, basically speaking, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this unit. There's a couple of little glitches in there I notice here and there. So I think I'm going to give it a 4. But it works pretty doggone good. For the versatility, you could give it a 5. Because, like I say, you've got internal sounds and you can also hook it up to your DAW. So it works pretty good. So 4 for the Starrykey-37 Play. I hope this helps you out. If you want to decide to go with it or not. And I'll see you next time. Bye.